Hello, I'm Vinzer Flinn, and welcome to the Book of Flinn, where today Reigna and I are going to finish up our Season 1 chats about Clone Wars and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so let's get right to it. I don't know, to nitpick, but aren't your headphones on backwards? You're lucky this isn't a video show. There you go. I was like, Thunder, could you turn off your Tron kitty ears? I didn't think so. Nope, they're on backwards.
Yeah, I'm just that. Clone Wars. Season 1, Episode 21. Oof, Roman numerals. Liberty on Ryloth. Compromise is a virtue to be cultivated, not a weakness to be despised. We didn't actually miss this. They successfully invaded the Ryloth occupation. We get to see Wat Tambor, which means, will I finally get to use my tambourine jokes?
I hope not.
And I believe that Wat Tambor's voice is the voice of the hotel manager from Jackbox's Trivia Murder Party. It's the same.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the same voice, or it's at least the same modulator.
I had to take a little minute to think of that voice in Murder Party, and yeah, a little bit like Wat Tambor, you're right.
Yep. So this is what he did after he left here. This is where he went to. He went to go run
murder house?
Yeah, in the afterlife. So he went to the afterlife and now he's in charge of running a murder house.
The murder house in the afterlife. I guess it's just for fun.
I was in a band called Murder House in the Afterlife.
Oh shit, write that down.
We head over to Lesu, seems to be at the top of Looney Tunes Mountain, and the Separatists blowing up their walkies. I didn't understand the dynamics of this. It looked like they were looking so much further down than they were. It was like across the grass, but it looked downwards. I don't know. The dimensions seemed weird to me. Looney Tunes Mountain, of course, is that nice circular walking around. You could just see Coyote walking out with one of those Acme big anvils at any moment.
It occurs to me now that the capital city is they swapped out some letters from Leku to Lesu.
Yeah.
It's like, right, what do you call those head tails? Leku. Yeah, I need a city name. Yeah, change all those letters.
Yeah. Letu? No, that sounds weird. Lesu. Perfect. Sounds like lasso. The yellow droid orders them to shoot out the back transport to try to block them in, and then Mace Windu's like, hold up a sec, and just pushes the broken walkie thing. The yellow droid, the one that orders to shoot out the back one, it's nice to see a droid last for more than an episode. I typed that, and then the next thing I wrote is, he lasts 3 minutes into this episode. They call for lightning, and it turns out it's a bunch of robo-dino walkers. And is it because... are they called lightning because they're really fast?
I guess relatively speaking.
Because they're not, but they're faster than them running through the desert.
Is that referring to those big walkers?
Yeah, like the walkers the singular walkers that they're running on. They're like, get lightning up here quick, and it's those walkers.
Oh,
that look like the big dino legs.
Those are. Yeah, ATRTs, all-terrain, I think, reconnaissance transport. I had one of these in Star Wars Galaxies, and they got these big stupid flat feet, and you wouldn't expect it, but those motherfuckers can run like the wind. I chased down my biggest bounty ever with Gantana's help, actually. He ran outside Mos Eisley, and I fucking ran him down in that chicken walker because I knew it would catch him. Yeah, they're wild.
That's the thing, is if you put even just use your hands and you just put a T-Rex head on, it totally works.
It's a thrilling ride.
Mace Windu pushes that over the mountain, clearing the way to continue. And then the lightning are being rode by Mace Windu towards the Separatists and the yellow droids, who's like, let's just fire on them. But then the lightning takes them out. I don't know why they didn't just start with those, but whatever.
Always lead with lightning.
It cost them 32 men in this battle alone, but the thing that surprised me most was that Mace Windu even thought to ask. Windu and the trooper don't realize that while they're hatching their plan, that they're being watched by a recon droid who's live streaming this to Wat Tambor's rave fest. He's surprised at how fast they're advancing, and oh, good, a middle management monkey droid is thinking they'll be at the city by morning. And I'm not happy to see another one of these. These things creep me out, I think, more than anything.
I don't like them either.
Yeah. So en route to Lesu, Mace Windu, someone random who we eventually learn is Senator Ta.
Yes, this is Senator Orn Free Ta. I believe he appears briefly in the movies, and I have a note about this guy because he's an interesting. He's a Twi'lek, but he's got 4 head tails. He has 4 Leku, which I know there's variants in the Twi'lek species, but I've never seen that before or since.
Oh, interesting. So he is the senator for Ryloth. We also have General Mills, known as Senator Palpatine. And as well as Anakin Skywalker, or judging by the bags under his eyes, Anna can't sleep. They're all in a meeting, and they're given...
How long you been holding on to that one?
About 21 episodes. They're meeting to give Mills a status report, and by that I mean General Mills, Senator Palpatine. Anna can't sleep, has space around Ryloth secure, and Obi-Wan has the southern hemisphere, so they just need to take the northern hemisphere.
Is that all?
No big. Just half a planet. And this angle in the scene and the hollow light made Gloomy seem even more sleep-deprived than usual, which is why I decided to break out the Anna can't sleep, because the bags under his eyes, it was... very from the bottom up lighting. It wasn't great.
They must not get much sleep during this whole war. When you think about it, it's probably just go, go, go.
Maybe,
where are you out?
Is that why he became Darth Vader? Do you think it's just because he really wanted to sleep and he couldn't, and he was slowly driven mad by the lack of sleep?
I think that's a very valid theory. Palpatine could be like, oh, he's really fucking tired now. I'm going to hit him with the dark side. I got him for sure.
He's just been slowly inducing sleep deprivation over the years by getting him busier and busier, and that's how he's been making him snap.
Yep. No vacation in 3 years or whatever, Clone Wars, and he's like, I'm ready to fucking kill a bunch of younglings, I tell you. Be pretty easy sell.
Right?
Palpatine, I get sick of this shit.
Mace is to enlist the help of a rebel leader, Cham Syndulla, who I actually really come to like.
Make note, Syndulla. You're going to hear that name again.
Sweet.
It's very important in Rebels.
Okay, cool. Leader of the Freedom Fighters, and General Mills and the Senator are not super on board with. Oh, what a surprise. The Senator wants to make it political rather than actually care about his people. Mace Windu and a few of the clone troopers are like, yeah, well, we're doing it anyways, so see ya. And they track the Freedom Fighters to their graveyard, and they hear the creature roar off camera, so they go to hide. Meanwhile, over in Lesu, Count Chocula, aka what's his face, Senator Longface Dooku. That's it.
Oh, Count Dooku.
Yeah, long face.
He does have a long face.
Right, Count.
Why long face, Count?
Yeah, Count Chocula. He's in a holo call with the middle management and DJ Tambor. The Count is telling them to just grab their valuables, cut their losses, get out of town, then they can just bomb the place. And Tambor's like, but my riches. So he doesn't want to.
Funny if he was twisting with his dials and he was like, you know what I'm saying?
Right? The way that he said, wait, everything made me think a little bit that there was something else that they were doing there, and that I immediately went to, what if he's making like Spice E, as in like spice ecstasy, and he's selling it through his space raves because he's a DJ.
I think I've been to one of his parties.
And they call it spicy because it's Spice E. Don't hang up. Don't end the call. Hello? Me? Anyway, a squad of droids go looking for a lost patrol. And then these bingo droids, the B1s or whatnot, they start making fun of the other droids. They're like, we weren't made by a central computer. We are independent thinkers. Roger, 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 Roger. And then the chorus of Roger Rogers to immediately make that joke land was perfection. And they totally missed the entire enemy patrol that's like 10 feet in front of them while these independent thinkers are too busy making fun of everybody. Karma shows up in the form of the freedom fighters, which Mace Windu's like, let them do the job for us. Why get my hands dirty? Jerk. He goes up to help, and I use that with extreme air quotes, and he goes up and he's like, I already took care of it. Mace Windu is surprised. He's surprised by the freedom fighters. I say surprised because he pretty much expected them to show up. And he's just expecting Syndulla to be like, okay, I'll help. But there's no guarantee on that. We flash back over to DJ Tambor and the middle management M&M. They're planning another assault, but DJ isn't ready to leave yet. Why does this man look like an upright sarcophagus?
I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking when they designed this guy. I've never been a fan of what Tambor's look.
Is he another like 99% robot, 1% organic, like general HR department?
He's the head of the techno union, so I assume he's at a minimum a guy in a cyber suit. Wat Tambor was a male Skakoan who was the foreman of the techno union.
I heard DJ. Techno Union Fest. He probably has a collaboration with the Jizz Whalers for some remixed jizz whaling. The Freedom Force, aka the Freedom Fighters and the Force, leads the rest of the Force and the Trooper Squad to a series of caves, which gave me a lot of Old Republic vibes. Like the game, The Old Republic. Like I'm going through and I'm like, ooh, I remember these. So they're in the caves, and the Freedom Fighters are, bonding by playing a trick on one of the clones with the two visor by getting him to pet a blurg and say that it'll be okay. And, of course, the blurgs. I like the blurgs. They look like fish with feet.
Blurgs have been in Star Wars for quite some time now. I believe they were another animal in the old MMO, too.
And I like that in the scene where we get to see Syndulla with his people, you can actually see how much he cares for them. Speaking of caring for people, Wat Tambor's like, bomb everyone. And so his ships go off to bomb the women and the children that are left in the villages.
He made a point of saying bomb the inhabited areas first.
Yeah.
This guy's such a scumbag.
He's never going to sell tickets to his fest if he keeps killing off all the people. Meanwhile, it's nighttime with the Republic forces, and they come upon a village, and they're like, we're going to give them some rations. And then the ships from Tambor's people come in, bomb them. They're basically... This happens as Mace is trying to get Syndulla on board. And then he's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be involved. We're just going to end up fighting you later. And then they report in and they're like, so the villages are being bombed. And he's like, okay, let's do this. So he kind of gets on board real quick once he realizes he kind of doesn't have a choice in order to protect his people. A lot of political mumbo jumbo this episode. And then Tambor is just waiting on those southern transports. And when he said that, I was like, doesn't Obi-Wan have the southern hemisphere? I wasn't expecting those to show up at any point in this episode. I was actually very surprised when they showed up.
Jesus, one Jedi per hemisphere. Come on, Obi-Wan, keep your shit together.
Right? How could you let these two transports through? So Count Chocula phones in and berates them for not leaving yet, and to bomb the city as soon as it's in the distance. And Tambor's like, we're not doing that. And middle management's like, yeah, don't worry. It'll happen whether you are gone or not. It's like he's neutral evil or something like that. He'll just do it. Lawful evil? I don't know. I don't like him. In the caves, Ta and Cham are talking. They immediately start fighting. Gloomy pops in and he goes, oh, by the way, can't take the bombers out and get the people to leave the cities. Just get them out. Because he probably can't get them all because there's too many of them. And Ta promises that the clone army will leave as soon as the droid occupation's gone, and we'll see how that goes. I really hope they both keep their word. And Ta, in this scene, really nailed it home the problem with politicians. He's all cushy on Coruscant. He's not even with his people. I hate that they have to go and congregate at a central area in order to work, because we've seen holocalls work. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, he should be with his people so that he doesn't fall out of touch to what his people need. Because if there's something happening there with droughts, plague, that kind of stuff, he'll get updates, but he's not on the ground with his people. He is quite safe and removed, and it's easy for politicians to be like, oh, that's not my problem, when they're not living in it every day.
I'm pretty sure that he was one of the background characters that appeared when Anakin went to see Palpatine at the opera. I think he might have been one of the characters. He might have had a Twi'lek girl on his arm kind of thing. So yeah, he's like enjoying this lavish life on the capital planet, and yeah, like all the politicians that are in it for the power, they get to live that rich life in Coruscant, and not worry about what's going on back home that much.
Wat Tambor is deactivating the plasma bridge back at the city, and that's like the big rainbow light bridge.
This plasma bridge seems like a hell of a waste of energy for something. Just what's wrong with a normal bridge? It seems dangerous and costly.
Just build one of those that like lifts up,
I wouldn't cross no energy bridge. That'd make me way too nervous.
Power outage, that's it. You're gone. Like, there's not even a catch-all down there.
No net, nothing.
No. They are cutting off the bridge so that the people can't come in. And meanwhile, the Freedom Force is advancing on the city. And they notice that the 2 transports from the Southern Hemisphere are actually coming. So, of course, Wat Tambor's like, lower the bridge, it's them. I need my treasure. I need my goods, man. And not knowing that Mace and them have actually infiltrated one of the transports as it has approached the castle or the town or Lesu. Is that the town is the entire thing?
It's the capital city.
Yeah, okay, so Lesu. And it was really gutsy of them to do all of that on the bridge. Like the infiltrating and everything. Like, they could have been spotted at any point. I don't know how they weren't really spotted when they were on the bridge hiding, but whatever. When they go to deactivate the bridge to try to keep the Jedi from infiltrating, I like that Mace actually pushes the 2 clones over to the edge. I think that I was just surprised by how much he actually, attention he actually gave the clones. I guess I just kind of painted them all as, oh, well, they're cannon fodder, essentially, instead of...
Once in a while, Jedi's got to make an effort to save a few of them to look good,
Yeah. Yeah, not the 32 from earlier in the episode. The troopers go off once they make it all on there. So there's 2 troopers, I don't know what their names are, with Mace, and they run off to go get the plasma bridge back up so that the freedom fighters can come across in their blurgs. The little blurg army. Once we get into the control room, they have these weird nightmare droids. They were very acrobatic, and they took out all of the droids all of the clones in the control room. It's really strange.
We've seen these droids before. These are the commando battle droids.
They were creepy. I didn't like them. I called them wily nightmare droids. Didn't like them because I didn't like how much they could spin around. They became very insect-like to me. We cut to the M&M droid, and he's like, start my ship. I listened to that 6 times. He definitely said, start my shit. There was no ship in there. And even Tambor, his mask did not leave a lot of room for distinction. And so it definitely sounded like, what? My shit? He leaves Tambor in the dust and he's like, oh, that sucks. Poof, and just explodes the city and tries to kill off Tambor and all that jazz. Mace Windu catches up to Tambourine as the bombers close in, and Tambourine's like, "We're gonna go down in a blaze of glory." And then, of course, Gloomy swoops in on his ship, little fighter ship, to save the day and kill out the fighters that were about to take out Mace Windu and Tambourine, because that was Tambourine's exit strategy, I guess. And then all well ends well. They saved the day. Ryloth is free. Ta-da.
Dun, 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 dun.
Pretty much. It was a very okay episode.
I didn't find it particularly dramatic or thrilling for being the third in a fucking episode in a story arc, you know?
Yeah. Like, this is one of those episodes that they could have summed up at the beginning of stuff we didn't see.
It didn't feel like it needed to take 3 episodes. Although
No.
I did like that they gave the Twi'leks and Ryloth a little bit of attention. I mean, we got to meet Numa, who's the most adorable, ugly little kid in the galaxy.
Absolutely. This brings us to episode 22. Hostage crisis. A secret shared is a trust formed. So someone's going to be spilling some tea.
Secret shared is one too many people knowing it.
Right? Like, bring that stuff to your grave. You don't talk about that stuff. So before I started this episode, I thought about what the season finale could even possibly be, because the season kind of just seemed like a disjointed series of individual stories with no real advancement of an overall plot.
Right, and that's a very good point, and this is one of the big reasons I liked Rebels a little more than Clone Wars. It did feel disjointed, yeah.
Yeah, it was just more like a series of stories just filling in the blanks. It's like plots that they could have added to other things that they realized couldn't fit together in a movie or something.
I mean, I liked it. I mean, I like stuff like that, like little war stories and dipping in and out of things. Like, I do like that, and I'm not critiquing the writers the way they did the series at all, but it does jump around. And again, like I like Rebels a little bit more because that has a family crew focus thing and their story going on, whereas this feels like seeing film strips from a war, jumping all over the place. And I don't know, even though Anakin and Kenobi and Ahsoka are like the main characters, it doesn't feel like they're the main characters all the time. And
No.
so I get what you're saying, but yeah.
So this episode ended up being just more separatists trying to make headway. What could make this episode have such high stakes? And then enters Cad Bane, who, if I hadn't watched Book of Boba Fett, that would have meant nothing to me.
Yeah, you're watching it in river song reverse order.
Yeah, I'm river songing this entire Star Wars line
You
here.
really are.
Yeah. Cad Bane shows up, and since I saw him in Book of Boba Fett, I know he's dangerous. So when he showed up in the season finale, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Okay. This guy makes sense here. They land on Coruscant, which is where this is going to take place. And the guards go to cuff the unauthorized landing. They're like, we need to arrest you. But he's got his team behind him, who are very efficient in just taking over that entire landing pad.
We've seen one of these bounty hunter types here before, Aura Singh, the bald, white, pasty skin one with the orange. She appeared as a background character in episode 1, actually, but she's a known bounty hunter and character in the Star Wars galaxies.
Nice. The rest of Bane's crew come down to join them while some of the crew are getting the guards' gear and clearing off the platform. Pan up to the window of the Senate, where... Oh, friggin' Skywalker, man. He is not at his best in this episode.
Why does he get fucking leave and the clones don't? Because he gets leave in this episode.
Yeah.
Finally gets a break.
He's looking like he needs a nap, and meanwhile he's like in Padme's office trying to guilt her into playing hooky instead of looking after her people. Dude.
He's looking to score under the bleachers.
Oh, gross. I just let the woman do her job. So Gloomy is extra selfish in this episode. And Gloomy tries to give Padme his lightsaber in a sign of ultimate devotion and love. And he's like, this is his life. And my brain couldn't help cut back to, should we go back and do a count of how many times he's lost his lightsaber?
I just realized it's kind of a penis metaphor.
Right? Because she's like, oh, it's heavier than it looks. Nope, don't need that.
I got a note here. Anakin, pay attention to me.
Yeah, like, shut up, Caillou. We're trying to get some work done around here.
And then a juvenile jester, the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Such a guy thing.
He's like, here, have this. Now, repay me with your space vagina. The end.
Do it. Once again, butchered Star Wars.
And now he just lost another lightsaber voluntarily. And he's like, well, this is my life. Immediately loses track of it. Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah, there is a metaphor there. Yeah.
He would lose his penis if it wasn't attached to him. Absolutely. Bounty droids infiltrate the Senate, and C-3PO and Senator Organa are having the loudest fight outside of Padme's office to warn her that they are showing up. So she's like, hide! And the master Jedi warrior hides under the desk. They are coming in to get Padme to go down and group together before they vote on the privacy invasion bill. And I'm like, this really feels political to today, right now. Because with technology being even so much more advanced than it was in modern day society back when the show was being released, this bill feels very topical.
Yeah.
Cad Bane takes all the guards out during shift change. That was smart.
He's a clever guy.
That was smart. I was like, I should not be rooting for you, but well done. Well done.
Fun side fact. Our own Clan Flynn member Elkir, this character was created in our Star Wars D&D campaign, and he made it so that his wife is like a cousin to Cad Bane. So there's always the danger that Cad Bane was going to show up and fuck with the group, like looking for Elkir, because Elkir was supposed to be on vacation, and he's a hardworking guy and he didn't want to go. So like, if Cad Bane showed up, it was going to be to force him to go on vacation to make his sister happy. That's our little fucking up the canon there.
Cad Bane goes over to the lobby and surrounds a group of senators, and he shoots one who's like, huh, I ain't listening to you. So everybody is suddenly listening to him. And meanwhile, Padme has been hanging around the Jedi too long because she's already formulating a plan. She's got all the exits. Like, she's starting to strategize. And Organa's like, it's not like we carry weapons. Padme's just innocently whistling with a lightsaber up her sleeve.
I don't think Padme spent... Well, I mean, she's probably getting a little more daring with all these Jedi around. But I think, I mean, it's Padme. She would have found a way to fight back whether she knew a Jedi or not.
Exactly. Senator Ta goes to the Chancellor, and they pull up a holo call of Cad Bane. He's like, I'm in the East Wing.
Did you just say Cad Bang?
I think I meant to say Cad Bane, and then it just went bad because I started to say wing, and then it just...
No, I like...
So Cad
I like
Bang.
It. Cad Bang.
Cad Bang.
There's more dirty jokes to be had out of this, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, I was thinking that's how he shoots his gun. Every time he shoots his pistol, he goes, Cad Bang.
Oh, I went into
Cad
the
Bang.
gutter with it.
That's okay, we'll get there. He's all doing this because I guess he was hired by Zero the Hutt, and I'm like, wow, that's a throwback. I kind of forgot that Hutt existed.
Ooh, old Zero.
Oh my gosh, that was such a scary good impression. The smart fish. Wow. Let's add that to the list of voices you can do in Star Wars.
That one's just, you just got to put a Hamill Joker spin on that one, just a little higher.
Yeah, it still works though.
He did do a lot of that though, didn't he? The ooh, like he would a lot of exclamation.
Yeah, Zero is very they're very like, oh my. The smart fish of the Bane squad shuts off the power with a single switch. He just goes in and goes, oh, here it is. You think it would be a little bit more foolproof than, single button. Boop.
Here it is, on off. Look at that.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
The whole building. That building is like the fucking size of Halifax at least. Like, oh, here it is, a switch for everything.
Can you imagine there just being a switch for a city? Oh, okay. General Mills, aka Senator Palpatine, radios down to the Jedi Council, and Bane's cut off all communications. Oh, if only there was an illicit Jedi nearby.
Illicit?
Well, he's not supposed to be in the building. He's hiding.
No, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. So Bane zeroes in on Padme, and he's about to search her, and Gloomy catches up. And Padme uncharacteristically gave Gloomy away immediately. She's usually a lot smoother than that. Didn't like it. Cad Bang recognizes him right away and orders a pursuit. Anyways, he's in pursuit. If only Gloomy didn't give away yet another lightsaber.
This is why I think he's got the basic training saber. That's what it looks like, because he just keeps going through them.
Yeah, and he just keeps bullying them away from young Padawans and convincing them that getting them to be like, it's easier for you to get a new one than it is for me to explain why I need a sixth one.
He must buy in bulk. Give me that crate of the basics there.
Yeah, he goes and finds his own crystals. Yoda won't even give him one anymore. He needs to go make his own every time. Gloomy hotwires the control room, so the Chancellor and the search party hears him. And as they enter the room, Gloomy hides and suggests them to look on other floors. This is not the floor you need to look on.
If I could do Jedi mind trick, I'd be like, fuck off. Instead of like, this is not the droid you're looking at, like, piss off.
Do you know how horrible I would be at work? While they are all heading upstairs from this forced suggestion, the others hear sound of fighting and they find a broken droid. And they determine from this droid that the Jedi must have killed him and doesn't have a lightsaber. Gloomy finds this smart brainiac fish on Cad Bang's squad and chases him. We flash back over to the senators that are in the atrium, and Padme is like, by the way, they can't search me because I've got like this lightsaber here. And he's like, where would you even get one of those? And she's like, found it.
You don't want to know where it was.
Yeah. He doesn't have pockets. Where does he keep that? But she's discussing this suspiciously loudly. Like, I think if you did it once more from the diaphragm, because the dead droid down one floor did not hear you. She was very loud.
I can't be searched. I've got a handgun and a pound of weed.
Right? Cad Bang calls out General Mills and tells him to prep a pardon disc for Ta to take to the prison. And they'll do an exchange. So Zero will get out, Ta will go in. And then once Zero is free, Ta will be released.
That's how that works, right?
Yeah, that's definitely how that works when you're dealing with shifty people who are...
Get a token?
What was the term that we heard this evening? Extraordinary rendition.
Oh, yeah.
Gloomy tries to sweet talk the Brainiac fish into letting him into the room. Okay, yeah, that's gonna work. When Cad Bang's associates sneak up on him and allow the Brainiac fish to take him out from behind. That sounded better on the paper. Anyways, he took him out from behind. Cad Bang orders an unconscious Gloomy to be tossed in with the other prisoners. At least this point makes sense, because now he can get his saber back. Because it's snuck in under enemy lines, I guess. I guess Zero.
I'm not going to make a dirty joke. I'm not going to make a dirty joke.
No. Smuggled in by Padme. I guess Zero comes back up on the screen because the next line I have here is, Zero, we haven't missed you. Cad Bang starts leaving parting gifts in the form of a laser grid and threatens them to not try anything until sundown to make sure they stay in place for when he inevitably blows them up. Zero learns that the Rond starts throwing a tantrum because they realize the rendezvous point is the Senate and not the Outer Rim. He's like, I want to go to Tatooine. Or something like that. I don't do it.
Well, that's where Jabba's his cousin, right? So he probably wanted his protection.
Outer Rim. transports come in and take out the Chancellor's giant and not at all expensive window without clearing the room first, just to make sure he wasn't in the line of fire.
Yeah, that window in that office is not very good. That's the second time I know that it's broke. Isn't that the one Mace Windu went through?
I think so.
Jeez, they got to get a new glazier for that building or some shit.
And also, way to check to make sure that nobody's in the way. They just come in and bust out the window. Whatever. The troopers surround the bounty hunters, and the Chancellor learns of the laser bombs in the East Wing. He has his troopers stand down. But Gloomy gets to wake up and forgets himself, and he tries to be like, oh, hey. And Padme's like, remember where you are right now.
Fucking idiot.
Here's your lightsaber that you dropped. Cad Bang is surfing away from the Senate and with Zero and his crew, and he decides to blow up the Senate wing. He's like, here you go, here's a little present. And, of course, they're mission impossibling the lightsabers around the floor so that they drop down to safety in the nick of time.
I hate when they do that.
A trope. It's such a trope. Mission Impossible ruined it. They did it better than you guys. Stop trying.
I mean, at least with a lightsaber, I can suspend my disbelief more. It's when people do it with blasters or machine guns, when the whole floor falls through, like, that drives me nuts.
Yeah. There's enough metal holding that up. There's no way that you shot enough bullets in that automatic rifle or whatever.
You'd ricochet one into your eye before you got it through all the way.
On a side note, I wish I had Cad Bang's hat, because I've never had anything that stayed on as well as his hat.
Yeah, his hat is on there. You can get those hats as a smuggler in Old Republic.
Yeah.
It's very similar to it anyway.
My first character is a smuggler.
Cad Bane's the guy that he brought the cowboy hat into Star Wars as a thing that was, okay, this is cool now. This is a thing we can wear as our characters.
And I liked that they used it in, I know it's part of his, like, that's what he looks like, but I liked how they used it. They made that episode that he showed up in very Western. Was it Book of Boba Fett, or was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
It was a very Western high noonish type situation, and it really fits on Tatooine for sure.
Yeah. So Cad Bang gets away with Zero. The end, and it just ended. That was it.
Yeah, end of season 1, just like that.
It was really abrupt. Was it supposed to be a cliffhanger? I don't...
Sort of. It's just sort of... well, they're doing world building here. Like, they're bringing in more characters to set up. Because I like, each season sort of has a title. And I believe the second season one is something like Rise of the Bounty Hunters or something like that. To check what it is. But yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot more of Cad.
Were the Senate guards at the beginning, I forgot to ask this earlier, were they Mandalorians? They were sporting some Mando armor.
No, they are not, but there is a similarity. Do you remember in the classic movies when the Emperor had these Crimson Guards that guarded him in the tower? They're red, and these are the predecessor of that, in the blue, but they're the Senate Guards. And there is a similarity between the helmets. But yeah, they do have that Mandalorian look to them, but no, it's just a similar look. They're pretty cool looking, but yeah.
Mm. So, I felt the episode overall was better than episode 21. Cad Bane adds a lot to it. Gloomy did not help the episode. Padme was still way better, but we had Padme and no Jar Jar, so I'll take it as a win.
Yeah.
Because I don't like when it's basically Padme is only on the show to babysit and be around to clean up or be the victim of Jar Jar hijinks.
Right. Yeah. I don't recall if we get much more Jar Jar. I remember season 1. It was the thing where we saw him more, but I honestly don't remember. But this is why it's fun, because it's been so long since I've seen these two, because I don't know what's going to happen next. I can't fucking remember. So this is great. So, okay, you finished season 1 of Clone Wars. Are you game for more? Are you good for season 2? Yeah?
I am down for season 2. I want to have more sassy Yoda.
We do see Yoda, yeah.
Because Yoda and General Wake and Bake, the HR department head, leader of the grievances, General Grievous are my 2 heroes for this season. Good side and bad side, with honorable mention to Count Chocula for his Stooges hijinks when he was kidnapped with the other 2.
Yeah, and you're gonna see more of Ahsoka's path. Again, you're watching it in reverse order because Ahsoka's coming out this summer, and you've seen her in Mandalorian. But yeah, you're gonna watch her grow up both through this and Rebels. So this is Star Wars really is Ahsoka's story now. Someone said it's not Luke's story anymore. Star Wars is Ahsoka's story because the arc is just incredible.
Yeah, and we saw more of her upbringing, I'm assuming, from Clone Wars to Rebels to Mandalorian to her own show. I feel like we see more of her path than we did Luke Skywalker's or even Anakin's, because there are years totally. Where they are not on the map at all. Like, who was it? It was whatever show it was. They're all blurring together at this point. Andor? No. Which one is the one where you get to see like little Leia? Oh, Kenobi. Yes, thank you. I was like, they're all blending together. But like we get the back of his head and some little bit of hijinks in that, but that's about it. Again, still nothing about Luke's upbringing, really. So, yeah, Ahsoka, you get to see her right from, I'm assuming, age... What age do you think she is in this season? Do you think she's like maybe 12?
Oh, yeah, 13, 14 tops.
You imagine having Victor doing this right now, going out on missions and stuff. Can you imagine?
Nope.
Oh my god, he'd end up cutting off his toe with the lightsaber.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Jedi, though. They get them as their babies. So Ahsoka spent her whole life at the Jedi Temple, right? So I don't know how they deal with it. The teenagers. They must be like, Jesus, they're too much. Send them out to fucking apprentice. Driving me nuts around the temple. But yeah, you're gonna see more Cad Bane, more Grievous. You will see more Yoda. Yeah, I'm excited to keep going through this. Like I'm totally in for the Buffy stuff, but the Star Wars rewatch is very fun for me. Speaking
of Buffy stuff.
Right. Okay. So Reigna had the idea. We were done Buffy last time, and I didn't want to watch the movie. I just didn't feel like watching it because Christy Swanson sucks.
I can tell you, wonderful audience members, if you've never listened to it or watched the movie, I can give you a very quick synopsis. Essentially, it is set with her as a senior. She is popular in LA. She has Hilary Swank for a BFF. Hilary Swank is a jerk that wants to take a jacket she loves. Donald Sutherland jumps in as Merrick. There's a vampire lore that they don't dust and they don't have faces in this one. They are just teeth and pale. Buffy's identity is more of a kept secret from vampires in this one. She has a really sexist boyfriend who has sexist best friends. Super fun. The lore is that her and Merrick keep being reincarnated. So instead of a generation of girls who are just potentials, it's literally this girl. So my only point with this whole plot hole is, are there just a million Buffys kicking around and it just punts to the next one? Or do they have to wait every 16 years for this girl to come around? Like, what is this?
They say once every generation, right? So, I mean, every 20 years or so, I imagine a new one must pop up, but do they coexist at the same time? I don't really care for the reincarnation idea. I mean, I like the idea that you might be born with the potential to rise to become something special like that. But the whole pre-destiny thing, I've always had a problem with the pre-written destiny thing, I guess.
Yeah. It was a recording that my mom had when I was a child. She did that thing where, you put in the tape and you hit record when you want to watch when you want to record the television with the movie that's on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so mom did that, but there's always the beginning of this that I always forget happens because I'm used to watching it from where it cuts in just with the pom-poms. But there's apparently a whole thing that happens at the beginning of this movie. Another fun fact about this movie is that it has one actor in it that is from the TV show. We haven't come across him yet. I'll point him out when he happens, but he actually was originally in the movie, but his scene was cut. but
Okay.
technically he is also in the movie.
Oh, okay. Well, don't tell me. You can point.
Yeah.
I probably won't remember anyway.
And then we have Pike. I love Pike. Played by that wonderful actor whose name is escaping me right now. Luke Perry. There it is.
Ponce de Leon.
Ponce de Leon. Rest in peace.
We may have been watching Clone High recently. I almost said Clone Wars.
Right? Well, I've been watching that recently too. And I actually
Oh
said
my
that today. I was like,
God.
I gotta go watch Clone High tonight. Are you
Clone.
recasting members?
Yeah, in my head right now. A Clone High cast as Clone Wars. Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Grievous is Mr. B. JFK's definitely Anakin. Abe's definitely Obi-Wan. Ahsoka would probably be Joan of Arc. Ventress is Cleopatra.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with those.
Gandhi's Jar Jar.
Yes.
Padme, well, that's true. Padme
Be
could
Joan.
be Joan because she dates JFK, right?
Yeah. The only other things that we really need to know for this is that Pee Wee Herman is in this movie, and he has an epic death scene.
Oh, if you look up one thing about this movie, that's gotta be it.
Amelin, yep. Yep. He loses his arm. Maya's jacket. Sorry to his jacket. And then he has an epic death scene that lasts well into the credits.
Can you confirm or not whether that Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, kind of ad-libbed on the extra things when he was dying? I've heard that.
They essentially filmed it and they wouldn't give him the cut cue. They wanted and he just kept going, and they wanted to see how long he could go before he broke the other characters that were on the set. So they were there the entire time he was doing this, and he just kind of went with it and kept going.
That's great.
From my understanding. And
Well, it's iconic now, right?
Right? Like it made it into the after credits where he's like, and he's like kicking the door. And it's like, I feel like he missed the heart and he was just really playing it up because where they don't dust, he could just fake dying until he's like, well, Lothos is screwed because this chick actually knows what's up. I'm out. But yeah, he's just, and he's like slowly squat huddling away. Like the whole thing is just wonderful.
All right, so I watched this Buffy unaired pilot, 1996, which was you said it was leaked to YouTube, but it's still there. They never released it in any official capacity, is what I mean, right?
Yes, so it accidentally fell upon our computers.
Well, this didn't come out as part of like an extra in a DVD set.
It came out in 2002. That's what I can see from it, is that it got released in 2002.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go through it strictly chronologically, but I definitely made some notes as I went along here. It was very similar, story-wise, to what we got in the official pilot. The video quality wasn't good. I actually thought it was in black and white at first, which I thought I was kind of okay with that.
Yeah, Victor asked that too. He was like, "What? Why is it in black and white?" I was like, "It's just horrible quality. Like, it's so horrible that you can't even realize that it's not actually called Sunnydale High until at the end when it closes up on something. It's actually called Berryman High."
Oh. The school felt a little different. Was it the same school? Because it looked different. It looked more like a California school. There was more sun outside and palm trees. I don't know. There was something about it that struck me as more California than the other one.
It was also way more mid-90s. Like, the music choices were very
Even the clothes.
specifically. Yeah. Even some
felt...
of the lingo, like lush. Was that a slang thing that was used?
Not that I remember. There was some slang in this that I don't ever recall. I was a little older than high school time at the time, but a lot of it I didn't recognize.
Yeah, SoCal. I guess they were going for SoCal, like Valley Girl vibes, but...
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
There was other stuff like What's the Sitch? Like, that was around. And so, the first shot of Buffy is she's revealed she's got the great big bubble gum blowing in her face, like, it's like...
Feminist... Joss really had some long shots on Buffy's body before even showing her face.
Yeah, a lot of short skirts and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised with the quality of the vamp face.
Oh yeah, I got a note about that here. That they went full force on the vampire special effects, which is a good idea. If you got to sell the show to the executives, you got to make the vampire look cool, right? And that was a win, I thought, for this pilot. The actor playing the Flutie principal, I've seen him in a million things. Yeah, I've seen him in
Yeah.
Deadwood, and all. Yeah, I recognize him immediately. The quality of the video is not good, so
Yeah.
I heard his voice and I knew who it
It's his
was before I
voice.
even saw him. So yeah, he's great. He's in that.
Question for you. Because the character that I've seen him in, he also did the really weird run-on sentences that kind of ended in like a really weird place. Like the meat is murder debate that he was talking about. He's like, don't chain yourself to anything and be like meat is murder
Right.
debate and stuff. And he just went on this big tangent about all the weird stuff that happens. And his character in another show, Glee, did this as well. And I'm wondering if this is a character choice for him or if they just kind of let him ad-lib because he's really good at making up these weird stories on the spot.
Maybe.
Did he do that in Deadwood? Was he that type of character as well there too, or?
Well, the thing about Deadwood is a lot of the way they spoke, and it was this really weird, almost Shakespearean, long form, fucking hilarious way of talking. And he used a lot of it's not what you expect the way they talk. They use a lot of surprisingly big words, and they're arranged hilariously sometimes. Remember, I always used to joke about that guy. He says, what are you doing there? He says, I'm situating upon the common. Like, that's a nice way to say I'm sitting over here on the bench.
Yeah.
And he says, if that's not a lie, as I situate upon the common. Like, that's the kind of terminology they would use. So this guy, he was quite a weird character in that show, and he would use weird references and say weird shit. So I don't know, maybe it's just, listen, we need a kind of a nutty guy. Let's get this guy.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been mad if this principal was the original Principal Flutie.
Same.
But
Yeah.
with that being said, the man who played Principal Flutie, who I'm still convinced I saw on a bus 6 years ago, my God, it was scary identical. I really liked him as well, so I wouldn't have been mad.
The one in this pilot was more of he seemed more hilariously resigned to what was going on in the school, whereas Flutie was a walking heart attack. He was like always in a flustered state about something, whereas this guy was like even before his weird shit started happening, he was like, we rarely, whatever he said, have dead bodies. It's like this fucking foreshadowing.
He cannot get her name right in this entire show. He's like
Betty,
Buddy,
Bambi,
Betty, Willow, Wilma.
Yeah, the Wilma was good. Speaking of Willow, we have a different Willow in this pilot, who I actually liked. I thought she was pretty cute, and she gets a vampire kill in this episode. She kills one in the final fight.
Sadly, this is her biggest credit.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Which is sad because she looks familiar, so I feel like I've seen her in other things, but she's played like very minor characters, one-off cashiers, one-off procedural cop shows.
That might have not have been her main thing she was doing. I don't know. So I actually thought, because they look even younger, I didn't think that was the same actor playing Xander. Because again, the video quality wasn't good. I thought it was a different Xander at first, but the more he spoke, I was like, that's definitely Nicholas Brendan's voice. Same Cordelia. I liked the library in this school. It had the feeling of space and size that actually the one in the show I feel kind of lacks.
Yeah.
And it had like 3 levels. It kind of reminded me like the Doctor's TARDIS library. It felt very like this one felt like it could have back, areas you could hide in, and I don't know, it just had a feeling of depth to it. And my favorite part of this whole thing is when Giles is talking to Buffy about being the Slayer, and he says something like, you can't run from your destiny. And she goes, want to bet? And I'm like, oh, that was sassy and funny. But then she fucking vaults backflip style over like 3 fucking levels, and like that was such a subtle but effective way to display that she's a superhuman badass. It was such an easy thing to do, and it worked.
Teenagers are so dramatic. Wanna bet? Shatner's off the railing with a backflip.
It was brilliant. I loved it.
It was. I forgot that happened because I had seen this only once before, years ago, when I first found it, and I just I was like, really, this is excessive.
If I could leave by backflipping out a window or something every time, I would too.
I want to go back in time to become a gymnast just so I can have the quality of backflipping out of windows whenever I wanted. That would be my Flynn exit.
The tone overall felt way more angsty and atmospheric, whereas the show itself at times feels more lighthearted. I don't know, there was just some longer camera shots and the music was a little, I felt a touch darker, just a touch.
Well, Joss wanted it to be a horror show. He
Right.
wanted it to be dark. He wanted it to be, and that's where the director and Joss for the movie, they they were disjointed. So the movie felt like it had weird issues with it, whereas the TV show is, it's lighthearted because they're like, oh, it's high school, we can't have it too dark. But as soon as they're adults, man, poof, it's gonna be great. I like the banter with Willow and Buffy when they're getting to know each other. I feel like the banter between them bonding, it feels less choreographed and more like what you would see with genuine connections in schools. And I actually really liked that.
Same when Buffy was talking to Xander, the way they were talking, it did not feel forced. It felt very, and it actually made me like the Xander character more. Like if I was looking at this Xander as a first impression, I'd be like, oh, he's pretty personable. He's not annoying me. He's good to talk
He's
to.
not
Like,
skeevy.
no, that's it. That's exactly it. He wasn't creepier and he was just a dude, so this Xander he was working for me.
Yeah. No Jesse.
No Jesse.
No Jesse. He got rid of the bad influence.
In the locker room, there's a quick aside where the girl says, oh, what kind of name is Buffy? Oh, hi, Aphrodisia.
That was a joke that made it into the actual pilot, and I'm so glad it did. I have a note about it because I was like, really? You're gonna make fun of a girl named Buffy? Aphrodisia? You're one letter away from a joke yourself. The transition with the screaming when the guy falls out of the locker and falls on her and she's screaming and stuff. They started the scene change with a song that was also screaming, so I felt that it transitioned really well.
One thing I like that they did, and I guess they had to do this because they wanted to sell the show, was that Giles mentions of other monsters right away. Like it's not just vampires, and so you're some executive going, oh, okay, they're gonna have werewolves and zombies and shit on this show too, so this will be pretty good. It's not just vampires, so it's like a selling point.
And the shelf that he takes these books from, they're not in the back corner of this dusty library. They're the third row in. He's like, incubi, succubi, everything that you've ever blah, 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 the usual speech. And I'm just like, this is in like A of the library. Why is this here?
Because no one goes in.
Except for Xander, who's hiding in the back, listening to all of this and being like, okie dokie.
He's found Giles' Playboys back there. What strikes me about this is when we were just talking about the movie and stuff, and it made it into the show, that all the movie stuff kind of happened. We go into this with Buffy having already done some slaying. She knows who she is, and we've got that established. But it occurs to me they could have rebooted, quote unquote, Buffy, no problem. They could have done that, like the movie story and all that in the first episode, like a double episode to kick off. They could have done that just as easily. They wanted to link up to the movie, I guess, but they didn't have to. Is the thing. They could have made this work without the movie and just ran with it. But anyway, just a little point I made. They do have the bronze, however. That was in the pilot, this unaired pilot, and fucking super 90s PTSD. Just the way people look waiting in the lines of clothes they wear. I don't know. It was triggering some old 90s memories.
There are two things in this scene that you see throughout the rest of the show. They get referenced. And they're also, I'll bring them up as they come up. They're both coming up in season 2, but one of them goes on for a while. And it was just, I thought it was really cool how I was like, oh, original ideas that made it in.
Yeah. So Xander mentions he saw Willow with some creepy guy or whatever, and Buffy puts it together quickly and goes to help, and Willow's on the most awkward date ever.
I'm glad that they rearranged this because that whole thing was a little bit clunkier than how they did it in the show. I do feel like in the actual aired pilot, they did handle the situation better. But no Giles at the bronze.
That's true, yeah. That's
also a bonus. Because that was still a very weird scene.
So Willow actually, she gets bit. Yeah. She got bit in the actual show too, though, and I was concerned about that early on too. Like, oh my god, is she going to change now, kind of thing. I think Buffy says something. She's only bit a little bit, or something like that. She'll be fine. But she fucking ninja kicks the vampire. She just runs up and fucking kicks shit at him.
The fighting choreo was really good for a pilot as well, which is really like the stunt person as well as the stunt coordinator. I think they had them on board right from the beginning, so they're the ones I think that are still doing the choreo for the first at least 5 seasons of Buffy.
I'm pretty sure I recognize some of these vampire stuntmen. I'm sure I've seen them as stuntmen and other things. And one of them got the fucking... There were, I mean, for being a darker tone of a show, there was still some really good one-line zingers. Actually, there's a lot of one-liners. Like he's like, oh, the vampire's like, hold that thought. But when they find out that she's a slayer, one guy's like, I'm out, and he fucks off. He runs away and says, "I'll call you." That was great.
Yeah, I like the only joke that didn't make it in that I kind of wish did was when she stands up and she goes, "Oh, that was my favorite spine." Like, I feel that comment. The dusting of the vampires was gross.
Oh, what killed me was when Buffy grabs the vampire and pulls him under the stage, and you hear all this. You don't see it; you just hear all this crashing, and you hear like cymbals crashing. It was kind of goofy and hokey, but I didn't mind it.
The drum solo, like it's like do 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 smash smash smash.
It was definitely
you hear like a
vampire's
lamp
head
breaking. I don't even know how they got a lamp down there.
So yeah, that's pretty much it was only a 26-minute clip, so it wasn't a full episode kind of thing, but it definitely told the story, and I quite like.
I have here drum solo staking. That's what I called that scene. And then I have Q for Ben saying that he was in a band called Drum Solo Staking.
That's pretty good.
I can see why they recast Regan, because in the final scene when they're all sitting outside, she almost looks older than Giles. There's something about her.
Recast who, sorry?
Riff Regan, they recast her to Allison Hannigan for Willow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I can see why they recast her, because she looked closer to Giles' age than she did to Buffy and Xander's age.
Sure, I mean, I get that.
Yeah, she didn't fit with she didn't look young enough, I guess, because I guess Joss was, trying to do that thing where they would be at least looking like teenagers. I think Cordelia was the only exception for being older than 25 playing a teenager. She was 27.
No, really? Wow.
In season 1. Like, Charisma Carpenter, I don't know what she's sacrificing to look that amazing, but she's wonderful. I follow her on social media as well, and I really like her social media stuff.
Vampire in real life, maybe.
Teen thing. Giles says the world is at the mercy of this teen thing. I didn't like that. It didn't seem like he really respected her, which I guess after a pilot, after one thing you really wouldn't, but... And then casual public stake throwing.
I was in a band. Never mind.
Actually, I literally have the next line. Cue Ben's comment about being in a band.
Well, my favorite bands I was in was the emo band Ravens and the Raptors and
Murder House.
The Christian rock band Jesus and the Brickwork. Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll be back with some season 2 laughs soon. Vinzer Flinn signing off.